everybody. So I am here for another tutorial. I'm sorry about the light in the background. I have to angle it up for me. But I'm doing another tutorial today. Today I'm going to be showing y'all how I do my glitter flow, and this is my first successful one. I'm really hoping the one that I'm about to show y'all comes out just as successful. I don't know why my lighting is so horrible in here. So I'm really excited to be showing y'all how I do this. I already have my epoxy mixed and ready. I use 20 milliliters of both parts. So 40 milliliters total, 20 of side A, 20 of side B. Get it mixed up real good. I've been letting it sit for a couple minutes to get the bubbles out. The colors I'm going to be using today are Recollections Blush, Recollections Muse, Raspberry from Yayas Glitter, and Cotton Candy from Yayas Glitter. I'm kind of excited to see how this one turns out. So the reason I use so much epoxy is because I want the epoxy to flow. I want it to move the glitter. So you want enough epoxy to get your glitter moving, and so that way it does the flow. I also have my spoon for my glitter, as well as my heat gun to help influence it to move. So I already have my cup spray painted. I have my epoxy in here, and you're going to want to put a pretty thick layer onto your tumbler, so enough to where it drips. So we're going to just start applying the glitter, and my cup is not perfectly spray painted. I have drip lines. I have it where I had to start a new can, so there's that yucky beginning spray. So it's not perfect, but that's okay because this glitter is going to cover it. The glitter flow is going to cover it. So I'm just getting that first coat of epoxy on. We're going to make it nice and thick to where it's pretty much dripping off of my tumbler. So I may not even use all of the epoxy that's in here, but I'll have it just in case I need to do anything else. Like right now I have a couple tumblers that need another coat of epoxy. So if I don't use it all, maybe I'll be able to use it on those. And you're going to see some black marks in this on this tumbler. I'm not sure what happened, but yeah. So now I'm just going to drizzle epoxy on to the tumbler itself. Make sure it's good and coated everywhere. It might start dripping off the bottom. That's okay. That means I have plenty on here. Like I said, you want a nice thick coat for this process, which makes this one of my specialty tumblers because of the amount of epoxy I have to use. So now I'm just going to let it spin. Go ahead and get my bottom smoothed out. I like to go all the way around. I don't have tape lines, so make sure that there's no bald spots on the tumbler. That way all of the epoxy is on there. Let it spin and let it even itself out where it needs to. I'm going to go ahead and set that aside, take off the glove, and give it a minute to spin, and you're going to see it evening out. You might see some start to fall off. But first color I'm going to use is blush. Looks like a pretty even coat is all the way around it. So I'm just going to take my spoon into, and I'm not going to put it on thick, just thin. Of course, I started too late, so you'll see it come around, and you're going to see it start to swirl on its own. My garage is pretty warm, so don't mind the mess in the background. You're going to see it spreading a little bit. You don't want it too thick because then it'll soak up the epoxy. I keep waiting too long. I need for it to be turning in the other direction. I work better when it's turning in the other direction, but that's okay. I can work with this. There we go. not too thick. Get it off of there. And now I'm going to go to my Muse. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get a generous spoonful. And once it comes back around, I'm going to start applying it. Sprinkles. And the beauty of this is you could use one color, two colors, three colors. Well, not one color, obviously, if you want it to swirl properly. And I mean, you can already see the purples going into the pink, the epoxy is moving, which is what I want. Okay. And now I'm going to go to the raspberry and do the same thing, generous. Very light coat. And it doesn't matter how thick you make it. Some people want them super thick lines. Other people like super thin lines. I kind of just go with what feels right because they're all going to flow together anyways. I mean, you can see the purples and the pink is coming this way. Now I'm doing my cotton candy. And I'm going to go back to my blush. I'm actually going to fill in a little bit on this end. And I like having a light color to give the darker colors some contrast. It just helps contrast those super dark colors. And I mean, you can already see the flow. It's already starting to flow a little bit based on how thick my epoxy was. And once I start applying heat from my heat gun, it'll help it move as well. I'll change directions that my turner is going in. And I keep my glitters open after I'm done applying all of it because if there's a bald spot, once I start moving the epoxy more, I want to cover it with glitter. So I keep all of them open just in case I decide I want to move it, you know, put a different color in a bald spot. So now I'm going to take my heat gun and I'm just going to apply heat. I'm getting the epoxy moving. And you will see it dripping off of the tumbler on the bottom, and that's okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off my turner and I'm going to turn it back on going the opposite direction. That way the glitter flows in a different direction. This is not really pretty in some spots. I really like the way this looks. I might add some glitter in there to give it more of a prominent look. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to take some of my dark purple and just add it in some places. Take some of this raspberry and do the same. because it's going to, the epoxy is going to continue to move until it cures. So that's what I love about the glitter flows, is you think you know what it's going to look like, but you really have no idea. This one turned out really pretty. I like these colors together. So I do have a dead spot right here. It's where the glitter soaked up the epoxy, you can tell. That's okay. I like that little blotch of pink right there. It actually kind of stands out a bit. I'm going to add some light to define these other light pink areas. Maybe add a little in between these other colors. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. Like, you can already see that it's pretty much set. The epoxy is still moving somewhat,